Imagine getting paid just for sharing your thoughts on products and services you use every day. With Survey Junkie, it's that simple. Click on the link in the video description to discover how you can start earning today by taking surveys.
Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, feels squeezed at home and trapped by a Democratic White House. He turns to his most trusted consigliere, Ron Dermer, to fix things. Dermer, an American-born Israeli who functions like a Republican Party operative, is the Bibi whisperer on Capitol Hill. His official title in the Netanyahu government is Minister of Strategic Affairs. In practice, he is a Republican fixer. During a previous U.S. administration, Dermer was the one who worked with then-Republican House Speaker John Boehner to have his boss address a joint session of Congress, infuriating Barack Obama and his then Vice President Joe Biden by going behind their backs. That time it was to try to derail the Obama-initiated Iran nuclear agreement. This time, Dermer has schemed with Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson to invite Netanyahu to address a joint session of Congress before the end of this summer session. Once Johnson accepted this idea, both Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, and Hakeem Jeffries, House Minority Leader, felt obliged to fall in line, even after Schumer gave a well-publicized speech on the Senate floor calling for new elections in Israel. Their agreeing to the Republican ploy was a mistake, but it can be rectified. The Republicans are convinced that Israel is a wedge issue, and that Jewish voters who traditionally vote Democratic will turn on the Biden-Harris ticket if the president, the most supportive president that Israel has had perhaps since Harry Truman, appear to be anti-Israel. So, they keep trying to weaponize Israel. But today, especially in the current Israeli political climate, there is a profound difference between being pro-Netanyahu and pro-Israel. That same difference is matched among American voters, both Jewish and non-Jewish. Amir Teiben wrote about Congress's invitation recently in the Israeli newspaper Haaretz, where he is a diplomatic correspondent. If the invite goes through, Teiben wrote, it will be made possible thanks to the weakness and shallowness of certain Democratic politicians who have no real understanding of Israeli politics and society, and mistakenly think it is pro-Israel to cooperate with Netanyahu, a man despised by at least half of his country. Teiben himself was rescued from Hamas attackers on October 7 not by the IDF or any action of the Netanyahu government, but by his father, a retired army officer who drove on his own to save the lives of his son, daughter-in-law and grandchildren. Support for Israel is not synonymous with support for Netanyahu. To the contrary, the majority of Jewish Americans don't vote on blind support for Israel. Dermer, especially, knows this. For years, he has been counseling Netanyahu and others who will listen that Israeli right-wing leaders should strengthen a bloc of support in the U.S. comprised of conservative and evangelical Christian voters. Dermer knows that Jewish voters continue to be among the most loyal Democratic voters. They won't fall in line behind far-right Israeli policies. An April 2024 Pew study found that about 7 in 10 Jewish voters, 69%, associate with the Democratic Party, while 29% affiliate with the Republican Party. The share of Jewish voters who align with the Democrats has increased 8 percentage points since 2020. The same poll found that Jewish Republicans are about twice as likely as Democratic-identifying Jews to say they have a favorable view of the current Israeli government, 85% v. 41%. Moreover, 53% of Jewish Americans ages 50 and older said Biden is striking the right balance in his handling of the war. Younger Jews, like other younger voters, are less enthusiastic about the Biden's policies, but that isn't because they are swinging Republican. Netanyahu is a profoundly weak leader right now. Every Israeli poll since the October 7 attack against Israel and the ensuing war between Israel and Hamas has shown the Netanyahu government losing its governing majority and Netanyahu without majority support for his own leadership. And Israelis poll all the time, usually one or more polls a week. There are growing calls inside Israel for a ceasefire and an agreement with Hamas that will stop the war and bring home the remaining hostages. No current member of the governing coalition can appear in good faith before an Israeli hostage family. Nor have most of them even reached out to the hostage families. Meanwhile, Biden, the White House National SEC